Well, hey, John Ginty, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, Don
Appreciate
Odell's Legends, you're welcome. Have you been here before?
I have not. This is my first time to Don's, and I've heard about it, and I've seen the shows on YouTube, and all of my friends have done it. So it just worked out schedule-wise with Albert. Albert Castigilia. He was up here in the area, and anytime we get a chance to play together, we do it. So I drove up from New Jersey to be with him in the band and y'all today.
Very, very cool. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from originally? Are you from New Jersey?
Yeah, I'm from Morristown, New Jersey, and it's pretty central New Jersey, about 45 minutes outside of New York City on a good day.
Right.
2 hours on a bad day.
Right.
And yeah, I've been there my whole life. It seemed to be a cool place. There was a couple times I thought about maybe Nashville, maybe Los Angeles, being a session guy. But then I kind of became the guy from Jersey. Like, oh, you got to get this guy from Jersey. So that worked out well for me.
Big fish. Okay. Little fish, big fish. I think big fish and big pond is probably a good thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
absolutely,
I really
absolutely.
think so.
Yeah, it's worked out well for me, and my folks are still there, my parents are there, and it's great.
Yeah, so it's very, very cool.
Yeah.
I like the fact that you're an organist, a keyboarder, and a noted session man.
Yes.
I think that is so cool.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I
Excellent.
think it's really cool. Did you did you formally go to school for piano keyboard?
I did not, actually. I was lucky enough that when I was in high school, they still had money for music programs, which is not the case anymore. But when I went there, they had actual budgets. So we had actual instruments, and I was a drummer. I started as a drummer.
Oh, really?
I played drums for years, and I was playing in the jazz band in high school. And they would always pass back the charts to the drummers, and there would always be a vibraphone chart inside there along with the drum chart. And one day I said, don't we have a vibraphone in the school? And they're like, yeah, but it's up in the closet.
Ding,
So
ding,
we wheeled it down, and I was taking some theory classes that they had, and I kind of figured it out, and I just fell in love with it. And so I was playing the vibes a lot my last year in high school, and then I just made the switch over to keyboards. I started playing all my vibe solos on piano like this, you know, with two fingers.
Rhythm.
With rhythm, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and lo and behold, that's become the trick to working all these years, is that I can play in the pocket, and I think being a drummer has really, really helped that along.
I think it helps everything.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really do. I think
Everybody should be a drummer.
I'm agreeing with you.
Singers, guitar
I'm a
players.
little drummer, so I'm happy with
There
that.
you go.
So hearing that makes me really happy. I'm more
Interviewers,
djembe, but
DJs,
you know.
we should all be drummers.
Yeah, we should all be drummers.
Cameramen.
So let me ask a question, because I know you're one of the founding members of the Robert Randolph Band,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he speaks highly of you, you speak highly of him. How did that happen?
I had gotten phone calls from a mutual friend, a manager named Gary Waldman, who also Morristown, New Jersey at the time. And he called me for several weeks saying, I have this pedal steel player that you absolutely positively have to hear. And I said, okay. And you know, I had made a lot of records at that point, and I had made a bunch of records with Greg Lease and some of the greatest pedal steel players there are. So I thought, okay, well that's cool, but how good could he be?
Yeah.
And after 3 failed attempts, Gary called me one day and he just held the phone up and he said, listen to this. And I heard a pedal steel player playing the Brady Bunch theme song with the tone of Dwayne Allman and the feel of Stevie Ray. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing over the phone. And I said, I'll be right over.
I'll be right over.
Yeah, and so I picked him up at his house in Maplewood. He was working for a law office at the time and still had his suit on. And we went to a studio in Brooklyn and did the very first recordings and jams as what would become the family band.
Very cool.
And yeah, it was amazing. I was with the band for about 4 years, and I saw them go from never having really played outside of a church to playing the Grammys, you know, and touring with Clapton. And
It's amazing. And I did say to him when I spoke to him, is that a lap steel, pedal steel, or do you call it, you know, a sacred steel? And he said, well, we call it sacred just in church. So,
yes, that's the church, but there's so many great players in the church, and I got a real education playing in the family band.
I bet.
I had no idea about how much the pedal steel and just stringed instruments were really the thing in Pentecostal church as opposed to the organist. So it was enlightening for me to find out that I was actually, you know, playing church music, but on an organ, and I was the secondary role, even the third role. I mean, because you had Danielle Morgan playing bass, who's just about the greatest musician I've ever worked with. I mean, the guy's He's
Yeah.
on another planet, you know.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of notes going on that stage and a lot of fireworks. And so I learned early on that it was my job to just kind of glue that thing together.
Very cool.
And just lay it down and kind of, you know, I did my best Greg Allman impersonation because it was kind of like what he did for the Allman Brothers with Dickie and Dwayne and two drummers. And
See, that's
somebody's got to
wonderful.
glue this
Somebody's
thing
got to
together.
glue it together,
Yeah.
right. Very, very
Yeah.
cool. I know he has two new cousins in the band, too.
Yes. Yeah, the family grows.
Family grows. But you also been worked with or guest with the Allman Brothers yourself, Santana,
Yeah.
Government Mule, Bob Weir, Rat Dog, Widespread Panic. You've worked with a lot of folks. Who am I leaving out here?
Well, you know, a lot of the stuff you mentioned was more like sit-in stuff,
Okay.
you know, as opposed to really working as far, you know, touring or recording. I mean, sitting in with the Allman Brothers was the greatest night of my life. You know, that's at the Beacon Theater.
Beacon, I wonder if it was
yeah,
the Beacon,
it
huh?
doesn't get any better than that to sit on the bench with Greg. He's my hero, you know. So stuff like that, and yeah, Widespread. I got to sit in with them a few times. I know JoJo, and you know, Government Mule, Danny Lewis, Warren Haynes has been so generous to me over the years. Guys,
Yeah.
you know, in the jam band scene, guys are just really open to the sit-in, and they're really open to expanding stuff and getting people on the stage, getting cats on the stage, and I'm appreciative of them for all of that.
Absolutely. So who have you toured with?
Touring wise, you know, I spent years with Jewel actually.
Yeah.
When she was first coming up, when the first
the
record,
beginning.
yeah, the beginning, when the first record was hitting, and Foolish Games was a big hit, and the Lilith Fair tour was the big tour. So I was on that with her, and we did every TV show there is, you know, the Tonight Show and all that stuff, and Saturday
I
Night
probably have
Live.
seen you.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
focused on Jewel. I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay.
Beautiful.
We did
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live actually
Yeah.
with Joshua Redman playing sax.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Don was the genius of
know
arrangements. Came in and rearranged a song and brought him in, and we had this really cool thing that ended up being like a pretty well thought after Saturday Night Live
How
musical
wonderful.
performance.
I probably
yeah.
have seen that.
Yeah,
I've
it was a
probably
good
seen
show.
that.
It was
Yeah.
a really funny show back then. It was a great cast back
Yeah,
then.
very cool. Wow.
Yeah.
And what about the Dixie Chicks?
The Dixie Chicks, I've done a bunch of touring with them, and Marty and Emily, the two sisters, they have the Courtyard Hounds as their side project, and I play on those records.
Oh,
and
this is so
do
exciting
those
to know
shows.
this.
And
Good.
yeah, and I'm going to be going to Europe with them next spring. So yeah, I've done a couple tours with them, and it's so much fun. It's the greatest job in music.
Yeah, you have.
It really is.
Fun,
They
you have
they
a
let
great
me
job.
play. They let me be me, and their music is so good.
Letting you
know?
be you is really important. I spoke to a friend of mine who worked for a very famous musician, and he was a keyboard player, and he did some fancy things, and the head guitar player was like, "No, I just want you to play."
Yeah.
And he felt very stifled. So
Yeah.
it's really important to have your creative side. There's a band here.
Yeah, and some cats
You know?
want that, and
Yeah.
that's okay. You know,
Yeah,
I
it's
worked
cool.
with Citizen Cope for a long time, and you know, he got to a point where he just wanted to hear the parts on stage, and I feel that. You know, that's cool.
Yeah.
But I'm an organist. I got to play.
Yeah.
I react to things without even really thinking about it. I mean, if the drummer goes, I react. If the guitar player goes, I react. If the crowd goes, I react.
I love
so
this.
I have a hard time.
That's
just,
what makes you so special, and that's why being a session player too. It's a session. It's all of you. It's great. You're the the backbone in a way, as you say.
Yeah, it's the sum of the parts, and at this point, at my age, I kind of like, I do what I do, and I have a sound, and if you like that, then cool, and you can hire me, and you know what you're going to get, and if not, that's cool. There's lots of other players out there too.